Hey, what's going on, family? Hold on for 1 second, please. No, it's not that. Waiting for some more people to come in. Waiting for some more people to come in. Glad people coming. Go wait to full up here. I'll read about the late great John Coltrane, innovator, jazz legend. Helped his way of trumpet, sax, all the trumpet, auto sax, saxophone, flute, innovative. Just cool. Always a lady. Thanks for coming. Got a great one tonight. The late great jazz innovator, legend, the late great John Coltrane. One of my heroes. One of the best. It's not being mentioned a lot of the last 30 years. We'll read about him in a few minutes. Waiting some more people to fill up. I'm glad everybody coming. Wait some more people to fill up. Let's get them likes up, family. Let's get the lights up. Let's get them lights up. Welcome, Wafia. I don't think I said hi to you, but for that, I said, what's going on? Blackhead TV. And these, yeah, thanks for coming, family. Thanks for coming. Yeah, get that strap, no doubt. That's what I'm talking. Let's get that strap. Big fight coming up this weekend. Fury against Wilder at Staples Center, Los Angeles. The fight is going to be that's going to be a pay-per-view, so you have to pay for it. But I'm trying to find a way to watch it. Most likely, if God's willing, most likely I'm gonna do the after boxing analysis. So watch out for that. Blackhead TV. Watch out for that. Positive side of the dark. Thanks for coming. We're just trying to wait for get some more people to full up here, so I can read about the late great jazz innovator John. William Coltrane, the late great, right? Yeah, and make sure you watch out Black Hair TV, and then so you can give me an email so I can plug you up, get on the panel. So watch out for that. P Money, what's going on, family? I ain't see you in a while. Wait for some people to come. Fill up here. Um, Mercy Vehicle, thank you, thank you. Got a good one. Yeah, congratulations. Glad you're doing your thing, P Money. Salute to you and your family. To everybody, family. Yeah, he died too soon. You're right, always a lady. He died too soon. He died too soon. Yeah, one of the greats. Yeah, the darkest known music too. I know all types of music. One of that John Coltrane. With him, Miles Davis, they wanted the few jazz innovators that helped fuse R&B, blues, and all that. When well, I can say this: when John Coltrane passed away, 67, 2 years later, Bitches Bureau, if that's part of that, Miles Davis, one of the best alternative jazz LPs of all time. You hear all this fusion coming in that he been doing for years. Yep. But yeah. Like button, family. Hit the like button when you come in. Yeah, paid away. Yes. Always Lenny. Yes. Um, my queen, your niece. Thanks for coming. Yes, please hit the like button. I got a good one. I'm back on my grind, baby. I'm back. Check out my collab with KQ. KQ, KC Boxing. I did that earlier. I did a collab with him. Check that out. Didn't mean she Stacy hit you with Underrated Darkness sports show. Now I'm hitting y'all with this. Lord Brandon, thanks for coming. Let's get them lights up. I want a few more people to come in before I start this. This is a story that if nobody knows about jazz, you need to know. This is part of our history. Yeah, Rip Stan Lee, no doubt. This is a legend in our community, a global legend. We pay respect the late great John William Coltrane, jazz innovator. Oh, you have to go? I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go, Denise. All right. She making me smile, though. See, brothers don't understand that. When a woman said to smile, that's a beautiful thing. It makes you blush. So I'm trying to not that. I gotta respect. I don't get compliments like that. I really don't. I don't. Family, you don't think I don't. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. But I hope you stay for a few minutes, Queen. I would like for you to do that. Yeah, I'm waiting for some more people to come in so I can read about this great person. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I don't get compliments like that from I don't know. Excuse me, I don't. But thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm glad you came too. I'm glad you came. Hope you stay too. I hope at least that you stay at least a few minutes. So the ones that had to leave from wherever I end this, go back, check it out and everything. So I'm not gonna keep you up that long because I know y'all gotta get ready to go to work and do your endeavors and stuff. So I'm not gonna keep you up that long. So I'm just gonna like read the story, you know, I'm gonna read the story, put my own thing on it, and then after that I'm gonna close it out and that's it. Wait for some more people to come in. Let's get them lights up, family. Let's get them lights up. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to wait for some more people to come in because I don't want to stop. And well, it's over 11 minutes, so um, maybe give about 2-3 minutes, and I'm gonna start the story. You're welcome anytime. And yeah, like the light. Go on, let's get them lights up, y'all. Let's get them lights up. Thank you. Trying to wait for some more people to come in. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start right now, family. Then whoever come late, they just gotta catch on the rewind. The late, great jazz innovator John William Coltrane. That's how it goes. John William Coltrane, September 23rd, 1926. Passed away too early, July 17th, 1967. I was 1 year old. I was over 1 year old, family. Don't tell nobody. Was an American jazz saxophonist and composer, working bebop and hard pop items early in his career. Coltrane helped pioneer the use of mods and was the forefront of free jazz. He led at least 50 recording sections and appearing on, on many albums by other musicians, including trumpet, the late great Miles Davis, and pianist, the late great Thelonious Monk. So it goes to show he worked on some greats that bring his old form to jazz. Over the course of his career, Coltrane music took on an increasingly spiritual dimension. He remained one of the most influential saxophonists in music history. He received many posthumous awards, including canonization by the African Orthodox Church in a post prize in 2007. His second wife was Alice Coltrane, and their son Ravi Coltrane is also a saxophonist. Now we're gonna get to the beginning. How the jazz innovated. The late great John, the late great John William Coltrane. I am so excited, family. You just know, I always want to do a story about him. And so early life and career, 1926 to 1954. And let me show you fair use. This is when he was a sailor. Fair use, fair use. Okay. Okay. Coltrane was born in his parents' apartment in 200 Hamlet Avenue in Hamlet, North Carolina on September 23rd, 1926. His father, John R. Coltrane, and mother was Alice Blair, grew up in High Point, North Carolina, and attended William Penn High School, beginning of December 1938. His father, aunt, and grandparents died within a few months, wow, of each other, leaving him to raise by his mother and a close cousin. In June 1943, he moved to Philadelphia. In September, his mother brought him his first saxophone and an alto. That's another type of saxophone. He played clarinet and an alto horn in a community band before beginning alto saxophone in high school. From early to mid 1945, he had his first professional work, a cocktail lounge trio with piano and guitar. To avoid drafting by the Army, Coltrane enlisted in the Navy on August 6, 1945, the day the first U.S. atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. He was trained as an apprentice seaman at Sampson Naval Training Section in upstate New York before he was shipped to Pearl Harbor, where he was stationed at Marina Barracks. Barracks, the largest post by African American servicemen in the world. By the time he got to Hawaii in the late 1945, the Navy was downsized. Coltrane's music talent was recognized, and he became one of the few Navy men to serve as a musician without having been granted music rating when he joined the Melody Masters, the bass swinging band. As Melody Masters was an all-white band, however, Coltrane was treated merely as a guest performer to avoid alerting superior officers at his participation in the band. He continued to perform other duties when not playing with the band, including kitchen and security details. By the end of his service, he had assumed a leadership role in the band. His first recordings and informed sessions in Hawaii with Navy musicians occurred on July 13th, 1946. He played alto saxophonist on a section of a jazz standard and bebop tunes. After being discharged from the Navy as a seaman first class in August 1946, Coltrane returned to Philadelphia, where he plunged into the heavy excitement of the new music and the blossoming bebop scene. After tour with King Kulak, he joined a band led by Jimmy Heat, who was introduced to Coltrane playing by his former Navy buddy, trumpet William Massey, who had played with Coltrane in the Melody Masters. He studied jazz theory with guitarist and composer Dennis Sando and continued under Sando tutelage through the early 50s. Although he started playing on alto saxophone, he began playing tenor sax in 1947 with Eddie Vincent. I believe he also a jazz legend. Not quite, but I think he is. Coltrane called this a time when a wider area of listening opened up for me. There were many things that people like Coleman Hawkins, and Ben Webster and Tab Smith were doing in the 40s, and that I didn't understand, but I felt emotionally. A significant influence, according to tenor saxophone oh, excuse me. Odeon Pope was the Philadelphia pianist, composer, and theorist. Hassan Aban Ali. Hassan was the clue, the system that trance used. Hassan was the great influence of trance melodic concept. An important moment in the progression of Coltrane music development occurred on June 5th, 1945, when he saw Charlie Parker. And let me say this, Charlie Parker, he invented the bebop music back in the mid 40s, the bebop. Charlie Parker, they call him Birdland. Charlie Bird Parker. He died in 1955 of drug overuse and stuff. He died ahead of he died too early too. So I need to put that in. Creation of bebop. Charlie Parker. Also one of the great saxophonist innovators of all time. I might do a story about him too. Watch out for that. When he saw Charlie Parker perform for the first time, in a Downbeat magazine article in 1960, he recalled, "The first time I heard Bird play, it hit me right between the eyes. Parker became an idiot idol, and they played together occasionally in the late 1940s. He was a member of groups led by Dizzy Gillespie, jazz legend, band leader, Herb Bostic, and Johnny Hodges in the early mid-1950s. Miles and Monk, period, 1955, 1957. Welcome, Jay Hernandez. Welcome. Again, Miles and Monk, period, 1955. Miles and Monk, period, 1955, 1957. In the summer of 1955, Coltrane was freelancing in Philadelphia while studying with guitarist Dennis Sando when he receives a call from Davis, the trumpet whose success during the late 40s had been followed several years and decline of activity and reputation during parts of his struggle with heroin, was again acted about to form a quintet. Coltrane was, with this edition of the Davis Band, known as the first great quintet, along with Red Garland on pianos, Paul Chambers on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on drums. From October 1955 to April 1957, with a few absences. During this period, Davis released several influential recordings that reveals the first signs of Coltrane's growing ability. This quintet represented by 2 marathon recording sessions for Prestige in 1956, resulting in the album Cooking, Relaxing, Working, and Steaming. The first great quintet disbanded due to part of Coltrane's heroin addict, and that was sad because that plagued him throughout his career. During the late part of 1957, Coltrane worked with the oldest Monk at New York High Five Cafe and played in Monk Quartet July through December 1957. But owning contractual conflict took part in only one official studio record session with the group. Coltrane recorded many albums with Prestige under his own name at this time, but Monk refused to record for his old label. A private recording made by Juanita named Coltrane, a 1951 reunion of the group, was issued by Blue Note at the Live 5-Spot Discovery. They reissued it in 1993. a high-quality tape of concert given at the quartet in November 1957. Also found later was released by Blue Note in 2005. Recorded by Voice of America, performance confirms the group reputation and the resulting album, The Only Small Quartet with John Coltrane at Carnegie Hall, is widely acclaimed. Blue Train. Coltrane's sole date as leader for Blue Note, featuring trumpet Lee Morgan, bass Paul Chambers, and trombonist Curtis Fuller, is often considered his best album from this period. Four, four of his five tracks are originally Coltrane compositions, and the title track, Moments Notice, and Lazy Bird had become standards. Both tunes employed first examples of his curl substitution cycles known as Coltrane change. Davis and Coltrane. Coltrane rejoined Davis in January 1958. In October of that year, jazz critic Ira Glitter coined the term "sheets of sound" to describe the styles of Coltrane developed with Monk and was perfecting in Davis' group, now a sextet. Sextet. His playing was compressed with rapid runs of cadenzating of hundreds of notes per minute. He stayed with Davis until April 1960, worked with alto saxophonist Cannonball Adderley, jazz legend, pianist Ray Garland, jazz legend Bill Evans, jazz legend, and Whitetail Kelly Bassett, and bassist Paul Chambers, jazz legend, and drummer Philly Paul Jones, jazz legend, and Jimmy Cobb, jazz legend. During this time, he participates in the Davis sections, Milestones and Kind of Blue, and the concert recordist Miles Monk at Newport, 1963, and Jazz at the Plaza, 1958. Period with Atlantic Records, 1959 through 1961. At the end of this period, Coltrane recorded his first album as a leader for Atlantic Records, Giant Steps. Now, I'm going to stop there. This is one. Now, Giant Steps is one of the. Now, I know I heard. Now, y'all heard that Coltrane did his best work a few years before that. Giant Steps. This is. You got to get the LP. You see how he infuse, how he make his own sound at the same time when he plays saxophone. This is innovative stuff. Giant Steps, 1959 family. Want you to hear that. Because you're going to hear it best. I'm telling you. There's actually people throughout the years has talked about this LP, Giant Steps, 1959. People had talked about it for years. All right. It's on YouTube too, so go check it out. Need to throw that in. Which contain only his compositions. I mean. The album title track is most generally considered to have one of the most difficult chord progressions of any widely played jazz composition. Giant Steps utilized Coltrane change. His development of these altered chord progression cycles led to further experimentation with improvised melody and harmony, which he continued throughout his career. And they also played Giant Steps. Okay. Coltrane formed his first quartet for live performance in 1960 for appearance at the Jazz Gallery in New York City. That was one of the main spots that jazz players went to. Need to throw that in. After moving through different personal, including Stephen Cole, Peter LaRocca, and Billy Higgins, the lineup stabilized in the fall with pianist McCoy Tyner, bass Steve Davis, and drummer Elvin Jones. Tyner from Philadelphia has been a friend of Coltrane for some years, and the two men had an understanding that the pianist would join Coltrane when Tyner felt ready for this exposure or regularly work with him. Also recorded in the same sessions were the late albums Coltrane Sound 1964 and Coltrane Plays with the Blues 1962. Coltrane first recorded with his new group, his debut playing the soprano saxophonist, the hugely successful 61. So it goes to show versatile playing. Because understand this, family. There's, I think it's 3 or 4 different types of saxophones. When you master all 4 of them, it's very hard. Plus, you got to listen to the melodies too. It goes with it. So to go to show that he was ahead of his time, I need to throw that in too. Okay. Around the end of his tenure with Davis, Coltrane has begun playing with saxophone an unconventional move considered the instrumented neglect in jazz at the time. His interest in a straight saxophone most likely arose from his admiration of Sidney Bechet and the work of his contemporary, Steve Lacy, even though Davis claimed to have given Coltrane his first soprano saxophone. The new soprano sound was coupled by further exploitation. For example, on a Gershwin tune, But Not For Me, Coltrane employs the kinds of restless harmonic movement used on giant steps, movement in major thirds rather than conventional perfect fourths, over a A section instead of a conventional turnaround progression. Several other tracks recorded in the section utilize this harmonic device, including 26 2, Satellite, Body and Soul, and The Night Has 1,000 Eyes. First years with Impulse Records 1961 and 1962. In May 1961, Coltrane contract with Lyric was bought by Impulse. An advantage to record with Impulse was that enabled him to work again with engineer Ruby Van Gadder, who had recorded his and Dave's sections for Prestige. He recorded most of his albums for Impulse and Van Gadder Studios in Inglewood Cliffs, New Jersey. And also, um, the Isley Brothers, they also recorded in Jersey, but it's totally different music, like R&B and stuff. There was in Teaneck, New Jersey. So Inglewood Cliffs in Teaneck, New Jersey was not far behind. Need to throw that in. The great Isley Brothers. They recorded in Teaneck. And then that's when they developed their own record label, Teaneck, throughout the years. That at this time, I'm gonna go back to this. That's when a lot of people thought that Isley Brothers came with Teaneck back in the 70s. That's not true. They did have some record in Teaneck, but they had to temporarily put down the whole stuff. I just need to throw that in. All right. They both live in Jersey. Okay, just want to put that in. Okay, the early 1960. By early 1960, Basin Davis has been replaced by Reggie Workman, while Eric Dolphy joined the group as a second horn. The quintet has a celebrated and distinguishedly recorded residence at the Village Vanguard, which demonstrate Coltrane's new direction. It includes the most experimental music he had played, influenced by Indian ragas, modal jazz, and free jazz. John Gilmore, a longtime saxophonist with musician Sarah, was particularly influential at the hearing a Gilmore performance. Coltrane is reported to have said he got it. Gilmore got the concept. The most celebrated of the Vanguard tunes, the 15-minute blues chasing the train, was strongly inspired by Gilmore's music. During this period, critics was divided in their estimate of Coltrane, who had radically altered his style. Audience too were perplexed. In France, he was booed during his final tour with Davis. In 1961, Downbeat magazine called Coltrane and Dolphin Players a anti-jazz in an article an article that bewildered and upset the musicians. Coltrane admitted some of his early solos were based mostly on his technique ideas. Furthermore, Dolphin Aguilar voice-like playing earned him a reputation as a figurehead of a new thing, also as free jazz movement led by Omid Coleman, which did denigrated by some jazz musicians, including Davis and critics. But Coltrane's style developed, he was determined to make a performance a whole expression of one thing. Classic Quintet, period. 1962 through 1965. In 1962, Duffett departed and Jimmy Garrison replaced Workman as a bassist. From then on, the classic quartet as came to be known with Tyler, Garrison, and Jones do some spiritual driving work. Coltrane was moving towards a more harmonic, static style that allowed him to expand his improvisationals rhythmically, melancholy, and more vocally, harmonically complex music was still present. But on stage, Coltrane heavily favored continually revoke his standards, impressions, my favorite thing, and I want to talk about you. The criticism of the quintet with Duffy may have affect Coltrane. In contrast to the radicalness of his 1961 recording at the Village Vanguard, his studio albums in the following years, with the exception of Coltrane 1962, which featured a blistering verse of Howard Allen out of this world, was much conservative. He had an album with ballads of participating of collaborations, collaborations with Duke Ellington on the album. Duke Ellington on the album. Duke Ellington and John Coltrane with a deep voice ballad singer Johnny Harmon on an Empress co-credit album. The album ballads recorded 1961 and 62 and embodiment of Coltrane versatility as it shed new light on old-fashioned standards such as it's easy to remember despite more polished approach in the studio. In concerts, the quartet continued to balance standards and its own export of child's music as he heard on the Impressions, recorded 1961, 63, through 63, live at the Birdland and Newport, 63, both recorded 1963. Impressions consist two extended jams, including the title along with Dear Old Stockholm, After the Rain, and a blues. Coltrane later said he enjoyed having a balanced catalog. The Classic Quartet produced their best-selling album, A Love Supreme, in December 1964, a culmination of much of Coltrane work up at this point. This four-part suite is an ode to his faith and in love for God. These spiritual concerns characterize much of Coltrane composing and playing from his point onward as he seen from album titled as Ascension, Om, and Meditations. Meditations. The fourth movement of the Love Supreme Psalms is in fact a musical setting from a original poem to God written by Coltrane and printed in the album's inner note. Coltrane played almost exact one note for each syllable of the poem. Wow, that has to be hard. And based his phrase on his word. The album was composed at the Coltrane home in Dixie Hills on Long Island, and that is part of New York. The choir played A Love Supreme live only once in July 1965 at a concert in Abres, France. On March 1963, the group entered Van Galen's studio in New Jersey and recorded its section that was lost for decades after its master tape was destroyed by Impulsive Records to cut down on storage space. On June 29, 2008, Impulsive released both directions at once. The Lost album made up on 7 tracks made from a spare copy Coltrane gave to his wife. Avant Garde Jazz and the Second Quartet, 1965 through 1967. At this late period, Coltrane showed an interest at avant-garde jazz at Arnett, is it Arnett? Ahmed Coleman, Abed Adler, and Sun Ra. He was especially influenced by the dissonance of era trio with bassist Gary Peacock, who worked with Paul Bailey and drummer Sonny Murray, who was honed by Cecil Taylor as leader. Coltrane championed many young free jazz musicians such as Archie Shepp, and under his influence, Impulse became a leading free jazz label. Captain Levi, 6KD. Welcome. Yeah, hit the like button. Let's get them likes up. Thank you. After The Love Supreme was recorded, Adler style became more prominent in Coltrane music. A series of records with the classic quartet and the first half of 1965 show Coltrane played becoming extract with greater importation with devices like multiphonics, use of overtones, and playing in autismal register, as well as a mutilate return of Coltrane sheets of sound in the studio, but all he abandoned soprano saxophone to concentrate on tenor. The quartet responds by playing with increasing freedom. The group evolution can be traced throughout the albums. The John Coltrane Quartet plays Living Space, Position, New Things at Newport, Sunship, and First Meditations. In June 1965, he went into Van Gerder's studios with 10 other musicians, including Shep, Pharoah Sanders, Freddie Hubbard, jazz group. These are jazz greats, people. Now I'm gonna stop at Freddie Hubbard. Now Freddie Hubbard is a jazz great too. He came out with, I forgot the name of the LP, but he came out with this song named Fulton and Nostrand. Now, Fulton and Nostrand, that's why I'm originally from Brooklyn. There is a street named Fulton Street and Nostrand Avenue. So he came out with Fulton and Nostrand, Freddie Hubbard back in '62. Need to throw that in. So wherever you want to hear Freddie Hubbard, underrated too. There's a song like that. Fulton and Nostrand, that's back in '62. Freddie Hubbard, listen to that. It's over 7 minutes. One of the best horn players ever. Very underrated. Freddie Hubbard. Late great Freddie Hubbard. He passed away, I believe, 2008. Let me throw that in. Marion Brown and John Tajita to record Ascension, a 40-minute piece that includes solos by young avant-garde musicians. The album was controversial primarily for collective improvisation sections that separates solos. After recording with the quartet over the next few months, Coltrane invited Sanders to join the band in September. Coltrane frequently used overblowing and emotional exclaiming point. Sanders would overblow entire solo, recording constant screaming, and screeching with autismal range of the instrument. By late 1965, Coltrane was regularly augmented his group with Sanders and other free jazz musicians. Rashid Ali joined the group as a second drummer. This was the end of the quartet, claiming that he was unable to hear himself over two drummers. Tyner left the band shortly after recording of Meditations. Jones left in early 1966, dissatisfied by sharing drum duties with Ali. After Coltrane's death, China and Jones in interview expressed displeasure with the music directions while incorporating some of the free jazz forms intensely they solo work. There is spectacular that in 1965 Coltrane began using LSD, informing the cosmos transcendence of his late period. After the departure of Tyner and Jones, Coltrane led quartet with Sanders on tenor saxophone, his second wife Alice Coltrane on piano, Garrison on bass, and Ali on drums. Coltrane and Sanders were described by Nat Hanloff as speaking in tongues. When touring, the group was known for playing long versions of repertoire, many sketches beyond 30 minutes to an hour, and concert solos by band members often extended beyond 15 minutes. The group can be heard in several concert recordings from 1966, including Live at the Village Vanguard again and Live in Japan. In 1967, Coltrane entered the studio several times, although pieces with Sanders had surfaced the usual to be had both men on flutes, either with the quartet minus Sanders' expression with Stella Regions or as a duo with Ali. The latter duo produced 6 performances that appeared on the album Interstellar Space. Oh, I'm gonna read some more. It says, Coltrane was born and raised in a Christian home, was influenced by religion and spiritual beginnings his child in childhood. His maternal grandfather, the Reverend William Blair, was a minister at African Methodist Church, Zion Church in High Point, North Carolina. Okay, that's what he got his belief in God. His parental grandmother, the Reverend grandfather, the Reverend William C. Coltrane, was an Amen Hamlet, North Carolina. Okay. In 1955, Coltrane married Nima is named Juanita Groves. Nima Coltrane, Muslim convert, heavily influenced his spirituality when they married. She had a 5-year-old daughter named Antonia, later named Sadima. Coltrane adopted Sadima. He met Namia at the home of bassist Steve Davis in Philadelphia. The love ballad he wrote to honor his wife. Naima was Coltrane's favorite composition. In 1956, the couple left Philadelphia with their 6-year-old daughter in a tow and moved to New York City. In 1957, Coltrane, Naima, and son moved to apartment 103rd Street, Amsterdam, New York. In New York, a few years later, John and Nami purchased a home at 116-60 Mexico Street in St. Albans, Queens. This is the house where they break up in 1963. Break up, now she said JC Times to her, I could feel that it was going to happen sooner or later. So I wasn't really surprised that John moved out of the house in summer 1963. He didn't offer any his clothes and his horn. He stayed at a hotel sometimes, other times with his mother in Philadelphia. I always say, Namet, I'm going to make a change. Even though I couldn't feel it coming, it hurts. And I didn't get over it for at least another year. But Coltrane kept close relation with Nima, even called her in 1964 to tell her that 90% of his playing will be. They remain in touch until his death, 1967. Neymar Coltrane died of a heart attack in October 1996. Wow. In 1957, Coltrane had a religious experience that maybe helped his overcome heroin addiction and alcoholism. He has struggled since 1948. In the line note of the Love Supreme, Coltrane states that 1957 experience by the grace of God, his spiritual awakening was lead to me a richer, fuller, more productive life at that time in gratitude. I humbly ask to be given the means to privilege to make others happy through music. The liner note appear to mention God and universalist sense to do, not advocating one religion over another. Further evidence of this universal view can be found in the liner note of the Meditations 1965, which Coltrane all religions. Coltrane, Nama, divorced 1963. 1963, he met pianist Alice McLong. Alice McLong. He and Alice moved in together, had 2 sons before he officially divorced from Nima in 1966, in which time John and Alice were immediately married. John Jr. was born in 1964, Reva in 1965, and Aaron in 1967. According to musicians Peter Lazola, to John's life, not because they had children, but they also had shared many of the same spiritual beliefs, particularly in mutual interests in Indian philosophy. Alex also understood what it's like to be a professional musician. After Love Supreme, of many titles of his songs, and ours had spiritual connotations, ascending meditations, um, selfish, selfishness, amen, ascent, attaining, dear Lord, prayer, and meditation sweet, and the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. His collector of books include Gospel of Sarah, Ramisha, Bhagavad Gita, and Paramahansa Yogananda's a biography of a yoga. The last describes in lovers of words, search for universal truth, a journey that Coltrane had also undertaken. Yogananda believed that both Eastern and Western spiritual paths were infectious and wrote of the similarities between Krishna and Christ. This opens different traditions. Resident Coltrane, who studied the Quran, the Quran, the Bible, Kabbah, the astronomers in equal sincerity. He also explored Hinduism, Judah, Kamarato, and also in Zen Buddhism. In October 1965, Coltrane recorded Om, referred to sacred syllable of Hinduism, with symbols of the infinity of the entire universe. Coltrane described Om as the first syllable as a primal word. The word used powerful. A 29-minute record contained chants of the Hindu Bhagavad Gita and the Buddhist Tiber Book of the Dead, and a recitation of the passage described primary verbalization and verbalization Om as a cosmic spiritual common denominator of all things. Coltrane's spiritual journey was overwhelmed with his investigation of world music. He believed not only universe music, trusted that transcended ethnic distractions, but also be able to harness the mystical language of music itself. His study of Indians to believe that certain sounds and scales would produce specific emotion meaning. According to Coltrane, the goal in musician was to understand these forces, control them, and release a response from the audience. He said, I will I would like to bring people something like happiness. I would like to discover a method so that I want it to be rain and it will start right away to rain. If one of my friends is ill, I like to play a certain song and he will be cured when he be broken. I bring out different songs and immediately he received money he needed. All right, Coltrane died of liver cancer at the age of 40. That was young. At the Huntington Hospital in Long Island, that's in New York. His funeral was held 4 days later at St. Peter's Lutheran Church in New York City. The service was started by Albert Adler Quartet and finished with the Ormond Coleman Quartet. Coltrane was buried in Pine Lawn Cemetery in Farmingdale, New York. Biographers Newsport suggests that the cause of Coltrane's illness was hepatitis, although he attributes the disease to Coltrane was unaware of his condition. David said Coltrane did shock everyone, took everyone by surprise. I knew he hadn't looked too good, but I didn't know he was he was that sick or even sick of all. Tasha, Elaine, thanks for coming. Appreciate that. Um, Awards and honors. In 1965, Coltrane was inducted to Downbeat Jazz Hall of Fame. In 1972, A Love Supreme was certified gold by RIAA for selling over half a million in Japan. This album was certified gold in the United States in 2001. In 1982, he was awarded a posthumous Grammy for Best Jazz Solo Performance on an album by Blackbird. And in 1997, he was awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2002, scholar Mafek Keda Asante named him one of his greatest African Americans. He was awarded a special Pulsar Prize in 2007, cites in Maxwell Improvisations, Supreme, and iconic centrally to the history of jazz. He was inducted to North Carolina Music Hall of Fame 2009. A former home, John Coltrane House in Philadelphia, was designed a National Historical Landmark in 1999. His last home, John Coltrane Home in the Dixie Hills district of Huntington, New York, where he resides from 1904 to his death, was added to National Register Historical Place on June 29th, 2007. Their son, Ravi, named after Ravi Shankar, is also a saxophonist. The parent company by Impulse from 1965 to 79, known as ABC Records, purged much its unreleased material in the 70s. Chasing Train, John Coltrane documentary is a 2016 American film directed by John Sheinfeld, narrated by Denzel Washington. The film chronicles the life of Coltrane in his own words, and including interviews such as admirers as Wynton Marsalis, Sonny Rollins, Bill Clinton, and Cornel West. Before I can finish up, I continue. Um, John Coltrane, the late great jazz innovator, John Coltrane. You need to look at it. You need to respect his work and his contributions. You need to do that. And cause here's a person that did it all. He really did. He did it all. So, oh, crew, what's going on, my brother? Salute to you, Tasha Elaine. Thanks for coming. The real Aaron Collins. Thanks for coming. I'm checking out some people. Welcome to Real Aaron Collins. I appreciate that. Um, I'm gonna read um the albums, and I'm gonna make my last remarks, and I'm gonna close it out. Prestigious and Blue Note Records. Coltrane debut solo 1957. Blue Train 1967. Coltrane and the Red Garland Trio 1958. Soul Train 1958. Atlantic Records. Giant Steps. First album entirely of Coltrane compositions. Yeah, like again, check out Giant Steps. Most innovative LPs of all time. That's 1960. Coltrane Jazz. First appearance by McCoy Tyner and Elvin Jones. 1961. My favorite thing, 1961. Oh, Ali Coltrane features Ed Dolphin compositions by Coltrane and Tyner 1961. In Post Records. African slash bass arranged by Tyner and Dolphin 1961. Live at the Village Vanguard features Dolphin. First appearance by Jimmy Garrison 1962. Coltrane first album solely featured classically Quartet 1962. Duke Ellington and John Coltrane 1963. Ballads 1963. Coltrane and Johnny Hardman 1963. Impressions 1963. Live at Birdland. That's in New York. They named after Charlie Parker. All right, that same one I'm talking about that created bebop of jazz in the 40s, right? Crescent 1964. A Love Supreme 1965. John Coltrane Quartet plays 1965. Ascension Quartet plus 6 horns and bass and bass on a 40-track collected improvisation 1966. New Thing in Newport. I believe Newport, that's in Rhode Island somewhere. Don't quote me for that, but check it out yourself. Live album split with Archie Sheppard 1966. Meditations Quartet plus Pharoah Sanders and Rashid Ali 1966. Live at the Village Vanguard again 1966. Kulisa Mama 1967. Expressions, presumably the final Coltrane approved release. One track features Coltrane on flute. Wow. 1967. So it goes to show people, family, that John Coltrane. Yeah, what's going on, Gregory? Why? What's up, family? A Love Supreme, but check out Giant Steps. 1960, Giant Steps. Woo! It blow your mind. But right, yeah, the Love Supreme too. But he did a lot. I think that if he would not be on drugs that much, I think. But I still say that all his stuff was good. You know, I wish he would have lived a little longer, ain't telling what he could done with that alto flute. If he would have lived, he would have innovated that, and then that, instead he'd be right here. It would have been not. I mean, he upped it, but he would have played an alto flute. Ain't no forget it. And I'm talking about he would have last like in the 70s. He's the ultimate already, but it's gonna be a lot. See, a lot of people is really copying. They doing stories of about him. But if he would have played that, if he would have played, hands down, excellent composure too. Excellent composure too. So, let me see something. I'm gonna name Raphael Harwood, thanks for coming. Francis Washington, thanks for coming. Always a lady, thanks for coming. Blackhead TV, thanks for coming. The Queen, Eunice Outland, thanks for coming. P Money, thanks for coming. Emergency Vehicle Train, Autocrat, please, thanks for coming. Very much appreciated. Lord Brandon, thanks for coming. Isis Journey with Marie, thanks for coming. Thanks for getting them lights up. Very much appreciated. Kenneth Nash, thanks for coming. Poetic Kells, thanks for coming. Very much appreciated. Leslie and Benny, thanks for coming. Jay Hernandez, thanks for coming. As always, the Reliable, thanks for coming. I really appreciate family you came out. I really do. Always a lady, thanks for coming. Captain Levi 6KD, thanks for coming. Tasha Elaine, thanks for coming, Queen. Always appreciate it. You always keeping it real. Thanks for coming. And support each other in the chat too. Support and participate. The Real Aaron Khan, thanks for coming. Crew Royalty, thanks for coming. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, great. You're right. Yeah. Shanice Ashley, thanks for coming. The ones who come late, you can always catch it on the rewind, all right? Oh, man, the great John Coltrane. John William Coltrane, if he would have been living and played that alto flute. Wow, wow, wow. Ain't what telling what he could do. But it's still not gonna take away what he brought to this earth, family. Ain't what telling he brought it. So all I can say, the real Aaron Collins. Real Aaron Collins, you missed a good one. The late, great jazz innovator, John William Coltrane. Died too early. He was born 1926. Passed away 1967. I guess the alcoholism and her had caught up with him. And the last of his recording, he played the flute. And ain't what I know, it sounds so good. The great John Coltrane. John William Coltrane. Got kids too. Ex-wife, Naheem. She passed away 1996 of a heart attack. A lot of people is copied from John Coltrane. The late great jazz innovator John William Coltrane. A lot of them. And cannot duplicate what he did. Only close thing to his son, Ravi. That's it. Yeah. He ain't no good one, Aaron Collins. He's a great one. Not a good one. Great one. So what I'm going to do, family, I'm going to end this. Wait till it go through. You can catch on a rewind. And I'm gonna be back on my grind. I'm gonna be back on my grind. I'm gonna be back on my grind. On that note, oh, Shalice Ashley, I'm sorry. Shout out to the LDBC. Lions Den Boxing Community. Again, LDBC, Lions Den Boxing Community. On that note, thanks again to come out. Ghost. Oh, I forgot to let you know something. Early today, I did a collab with my brother KQKC Boxing. It's on my life. It's on here. It's on my channel. I want y'all to check that out. Excellent information. Serious information. I want y'all to check it. We talk about cancer and different things. And also, we talk about boxing. I want y'all to check that out. She Stay Sleep did something earlier too. I want you to check that out. Also, me and She Stay Sleep did an Underrated Sports Boxing, Underrated Sports Show on this channel. 7 o'clock. We did it tonight. Want y'all to check that out. Want you to check that out, though. Let's get them likes and the views up. Drop a comment or two. Let's get them likes, all those. And also, make sure you get some likes on this and share this too. This is a jewel in our community. All right? So, everybody have a good night. Ghost.